This is the song that opened doors for me and still does. This is the song that got me the gig at the Newport Folk Festival, and then 10 other folk festivals followed suit. This is the song that got me onto Bob Dylan's theme time radio hour. This is the song that's been recorded by very successful recording artists, Blake Shelton, Tim McGraw, Bobby Bear Sr. This song, I think of Jackson Browne, a good song will take you far. This little song has been in the ring doing hard work for me for 25 years. And, I'm so amazed how a single song can change your whole life.
Welcome to the Back Catalog Listening Party, your weekly musical happy hour where musicians pick an album from their back catalog and tell the stories behind their favorite tracks in front of a live online audience.
This week we talk with Grammy-nominated folk singer-songwriter and author Mary Gauthier. We revisit her 1999 breakout album Drag Queens and Limousines, talk about the song that changed her life, and how being a restaurant owner and chef prepared her for being a songwriter. So pour a beverage, grab a snack, and kick back as we listen to music together here on the Back Catalog Listening Party, where it's always Friday and old albums never sounded better. Happy Friday, everybody.
Happy Friday.
And welcome to the Back Catalog Listening Party. My name is Mother Banjo, one of your hosts.
My name is Anthony Ihrig, the other host.
And today we have joining us from her home in Nashville, Mary Gauthier. So happy to have you here with us, Mary, and all of you out there tuned in, joining the party. And Stephen, first to the party, he said, cool, Mary is a gem, a diamond in the rough, a generous talent and friend. Well, so sweet. And Connie joining us from Richfield. Hi, Connie.
Connie.
And if you're joining us, tell us where you're tuned in from. If you are enjoying a beverage or a snack, this is our weekly musical happy hour where we invite some of our favorite artists on to revisit old records and talk about the songs and the recording and just have some time together in the basement as we spin the records. And what are you enjoying on this Friday, Tony?
I'm heading over to Wisconsin to the New Glarus Brewery for a spotted cow.
Which you can only get in Wisconsin, by the way.
That's right. But I brought it over across the border and put it in my back catalog listening party pint glass.
Well, that is the only way to enjoy a beverage. In fact, I have my happy hour beverage also in a back catalog listening party pint glass.
Excellent.
And today I'm enjoying my favorite non-alky cocktail, which is peach juice and tonic.
Ooh.
So that's what I'm enjoying today. Very refreshing summer drink. And Mary, are you enjoying any sort of snack or beverage for your happy hour?
I like San Pellegrino grapefruit.
Nice.
I love those.
Pompelmo.
I guess from the French pamplemousse, maybe? I don't know.
Well, cheers, Mary. Cheers, Ellen. And cheers to all of you out there joining us. If you're new to the program, like Ellen said, this is our weekly musical happy hour. So make sure that you're joining the party. If you're out there, let us know where you are. If you're enjoying a snack or a beverage. And most importantly, if you have questions or comments for Mary, put them in the real-time chat. We'll try to get to all of them throughout the hour.
Excellent. And right now, again, we have Mary Gauthier joining us, who many of you, I'm sure, are familiar with. But for those who are maybe a little less familiar, Mary, maybe you could give a brief origin story about, where you grew up, how you fell into making music, and where this album fits into your discography.
Sure. I'm from South Louisiana and moved to Boston in the 90s and started writing songs and playing songs when I was about 35 years old and collected a bunch of demos and put them on a CD and called it Dixie Kitchen. That was the name of my restaurant that I was running and part owner of in Boston, Louisiana style food. And I kept going to open mics and working on songs and eventually had enough songs for the record we're going to be listening today, which is what I consider really my first real record. The first one in my mind was more of a calling card to try to get me into small coffee houses around New England. but the Drag Queens record is, I think, my first real, give it all I've got release, and it came out, it was a astonishing experience to go from running a restaurant and doing open mics to being invited to play Newport Folk Festival. I had never toured before. It was unthinkable, but it happened, and it still happens to people today. But back then, I think it was maybe a little more rare. But this record really changed my life, and after it came out and a year or so went by, I started to know I needed to get myself to Nashville, let go of the restaurant, and really become a full-time singer-songwriter.
Nice. And you mentioned, getting into the guitar and writing these songs in your 30s. What brought you to songwriting at that point in your life?
It was probably always in me, but I got sober July 13th, 1990.
Nice.
It was opening night of my second restaurant. I got pulled over, and I was charged with drunk driving, and I was guilty of drunk driving. And that was something that really was a transformational experience for me. After that experience, I've never had another drink. I'm 34 years sober now.
Hey, congrats.
Yeah, July 13th just went by. That was year 34 for me. So after I got sober, I got brought to an open mic by one of my waitresses at Club Passim in Harvard Square. And it was as if a light bulb got screwed in my brain. I guess it's always been inside me that I wanted to write songs, but I was in the restaurant business and also struggling with addiction. So it wasn't happening. But after I got sober, I had time on my hands, and I saw this open mic thing as a way of getting in. And I made it a point to write a song and put my name in the hat. It took about 6-8 months or something, and then I started going to the open mics regularly. And the time I used to spend with alcohol and drugs became a time I spent with music and song, and that has remained true all these years. It's given me a whole new life.
That's fantastic. And as one of our previous guest album says, and my hat says, music is medicine. And we really believe that here at the back catalog listening party, because it brings people together, and that is therapeutic, including Lisa, who just joined us from Pawleys Island.
Hi, Lisa.
And our friend Joni is here. Many good things stretch back to Club Passim. Congratulations on 34 years, says Joni.
Thank you, Joni. Yeah. Passim is a real launch pad for folk singers, and it has been for a very, very long time. And it stays true to its mission. And I think it's one of the oldest, if not the oldest, folk club in America. Club Passim and Cafe Lena in Saratoga Springs, New York, are probably neck and neck for who's the oldest folk club in America. I play them both, but I did my growing and learning at the Passim open mic.
Yeah. Many of our guests have said that over the years, that Passim was a big reason that they came to be professional musicians. Well, without further ado, I want to get into some music because we have so many great tunes to listen to today. This record, I think for many of us, was the introduction to your music, Mary. And Drag Queens and Limousines is the name of the album. It came out in 1999. So 25 years ago. And I know we're going to be talking a little bit more about that anniversary, but right now we're good. I know, right? Right now it's making us all feel old. But we're going to start off with the title track. Is there anything you want to say about the song before we take a listen?
Yeah, I think of it as a coming of age song. After I got sober, I didn't know it, but my writing had to catch up with my life. Since I wasn't writing until I was about 34 years old, I had a whole lot of living behind me that I could write about that I hadn't written about. So this is sort of a strange phenomenon, but I wrote a coming of age song when I was 35, 36 years old. I think of this as sort of my writing trying to catch up with my life. This is a look back, and understanding that I've always been drawn to the people who were just a little bit outside of the normal. And then I realized after I played this song that there's not a person anywhere who hadn't felt that way about themselves at some point. So here we go.
Excellent. Let's give it a listen. This is Mary Gauthier, Drag Queens in Limousines, here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
I hated high school. I prayed it would end. The jocks and their girls, it was their world. I didn't fit in. Mama said, baby, it's the best school money can buy. Be strong, hold your head up. Come on, Mary, try. I stole Mama's car on a Sunday. I left home for good. I moved in with some friends in the city in a bad neighborhood. Charles was a dancer. He loved the ballet. And Kimmy sold pot and read Kerouac and Hemingway. Drag queens in limousines, nuns in blue jeans. They all took me in. Charlie and I flipped burgers to cover the rent, and bourbons at happy hour for 35 cents. One day before work, we got drunk and we danced in the rain. They fired us both, said, don't y'all come back here again. Yeah, but drag queens and limousines, nuns and blue jeans, they all took me in. Daddy went to college, then he worked for the state. He's never quit nothing. He wanted me to graduate. My brother and sister both play in the marching band.
All right. Mary
Nice.
Gauthier with Drag Queens and Limousines, the title track to her 1999 release, which we are revisiting today with Mary Gauthier joining us live from her home in Nashville. What a way to start the show. Just such a good song. And I had forgotten, I've heard this song tons of times. I've heard you sing it live. But I forgot, it's been a while since I've heard this version of the original version. Just that acoustic guitar on that is so sweet. Tell us who
Yeah.
is playing on this track because it's really awesome.
I'd have to look it up. The the record was produced by Crit Harmon. He's a teacher now at Berkeley, and he put the band together. And he really was, he was my teacher. I brought the songs, and he did all of the production and pre-production, hiring of the band, mixing, mastering. I stayed out of it. So, I really, that band came in, they did one or two takes and they were gone. It was almost like a Nashville thing, even though it was Boston. I didn't get to know the band really.
Interesting. Well, they sure they sure did a great job of bringing that song to life.
Crit picked great artists, and he really was a huge part of my early years. He was a mentor as well as a producer.
How did you get connected with Crit?
I went to a Ralph Murphy songwriting workshop. Ralph was he worked at ASCAP here in Nashville, and he was a publisher. He was in charge of artist relations at ASCAP, and he gave workshops, and I went to it. He had one in Boston, and Crit went to it. And I met him there, and I was in love with the record by an artist named Martin Sexton, and the record is Black Sheep.
So
And
good.
I found out Crit produced that record, and I almost was like magnetically attracted to him. Like, you made Black Sheep? Oh my God, I have to know. I cornered him. I think I scared him. Like, I have to know you. I need you in my life. That's such an extraordinary record. And I've never met a producer who's made great records like you have, and I need you to be in my life. And I just on to him. And we became good friends, co-writers. We co-wrote that track. Drag Queens is a co-write with myself and Crit. And he was a really important part of my development, and he was my teacher. So I met him at a Ralph Murphy songwriting workshop.
All right.
That's so cool.
Good things
And
happen when you get together.
Yeah. And it just goes to show if any of you are like, budding musicians, like, going to events like that and just meeting people, you never know where it will lead. That's really, really cool. And Crit Harmon, in addition to working with Martin Sexton and like Laurie McKenna and all these really great people, also a bunch of our past back catalog guests have name checked Crit, including Susan Werner, Edie Carey,
Yep.
Meg Hutchinson, all kinds of folks.
And every time I'm like, who's behind this? I hear what you're saying, Mary. I'd love to know what you heard about Black Sheep that drew you to him, and if you get that same feeling when listening back now to what he's done with your music.
I haven't listened to that record in a very long time, but it was on heavy rotation at my house back then. Marty's such a great singer, performer, songwriter, and the tracks on that record, there's just no duds at all. I love that record, and I was just starstruck. Marty is incredible, and to have met the producer of that, I think, masterpiece was so exciting for me. I was just getting started, I was in the restaurant business, up to my ears in restaurant business. And anybody who'd even toured a little bit was a star to me. I didn't have any reference for this way of life. Crit was he was a superstar to me, and will remain so in perpetuity. I love him dearly. So yeah, it's an interesting thing to look back. I was really, really, really new as a songwriter and in the music world. I didn't know anything about it, so I didn't understand how the sausages were made, and it just seemed so like impossible that I was meeting the guy who made that record. That amount of luck was I was beside myself.
Well, and you obviously had great taste because, as you
Yeah.
said, he not only made that great Martin Sexton record, he's made so many great records. And I bet I know there are people who like discovered Drag Queens and Limousines and were like, I want to meet who produced Mary Gauthier's record.
Totally.
And found their way, because what's so great is one of the things I've noticed about Crit is that he really serves the song, and I hear and in Black Sheep is a great example of that, because there isn't like too much stuff on it. It's just like Marty and his guitar, which is plenty, and and then on your songs, like he found what was needed for those songs, and Tony and I had grooving to that.
Yeah.
It's funny. People always comment on our bobbleheads so when they watch the video version of this show, because we're always bopping along to the music. But this was like the slow groove of that limousine cruising,
Yeah.
cruising down the road.
Well, and clearly, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to say, I don't listen to my own records ever. I just, I don't look back. I can't, if I'm on Spotify on a radio station, one of my songs comes on, I hit skip. So I haven't listened to the recording in a long, long time. And it just hit me that the way that the tempo of the song, I play it faster in live shows than we recorded it. So I went, note to self, slow it down a little, Mary. It's kind of cool, slow.
Yeah, it has a kind of slinky, groovy quality to it, which I like.
It's a storyteller groove.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The Back Catalog Listening Party is brought to you by our Patreon supporters. Supporting the show with small and large donations every month, this committed group of music lovers keep the party going and enjoy special perks like getting first look at our upcoming guests and invitations to private after parties and live stream performances with the artists. If you'd like to learn how you can become a patron of the show, please visit patreon.com/backcataloglisteningparty.
Again, if you just tuned into the Back Catalog Listening Party, we're talking with Mary Gauthier from her home in Nashville, joining us to revisit her 1999 release, Drag Queens and Limousines, which really put you in the map in a big way, Mary. I mean, it led to all kinds of awards and accolades in the Boston area and beyond. When this album came out, was it kind of a slow burn in terms of like you getting out there to play, or were you already playing a bit by the time, touring a bit when this album came out?
I definitely was not touring. I had no fans. There was nothing but open mic in front of me and behind me, which is, if the listeners don't know, you pay a few bucks, put your name in a hat, and you wait until they call it. It can be hours of sitting around waiting to play one song. And that's what I was doing most every night in the Boston, Cambridge area. There was no touring history. There was no fan base. I had never been on the radio. And this record was never released by a record label. It was just me. Having it come out for the 25th anniversary on two different record labels, one in the UK, Europe, one in the States, is the first time this record is going to be associated with a professional label. I mean, for someone just doing their own thing, it was a miracle what happened with this record, that I was able to put it out myself, DIY, and have it heard by so many tastemakers and festival buyers. Was nothing short of amazing.
Yeah, especially because, I mean, the DIY world is different now than it was, in the late 90s. It's not like you could just throw it up on digital places and everyone would hear it. I mean, you had to like press a whole lot of copies and pay
Yep.
for those and
Yep.
physically get them into people's hands either by mailing them or
That's what
driving
I
to a
did.
radio station. Yeah.
I did. I personally mailed out 1,200 records.
Wow. Well, maybe some of
Wow.
that restaurateur, background of, having to manage all kinds of different moving parts and stuff
Project
kind of
management. Yeah.
help get that.
You
get
know
that
what?
going.
The skills of running a restaurant absolutely have helped me in the music business.
I believe it.
To be the manager is one of the skills that I have, and to understand that in order for people to hear about you, you got to invest. I bought ads when I owned a restaurant, and I understood that I have to invest in the brand, which is me as an artist. And I learned pretty quickly that the way that it works, if you're doing it yourself, is you got to turn it into a business.
Mm-hmm.
It's not running around trying to be discovered. It's running around looking for how to introduce these songs to people that can make a difference in my life.
Yeah, and find your people who need you and need what you're making. I think people forget that about marketing and promotion. That it's not just about you. It's about getting your message and your music and your art into people's hands who can benefit from it.
Yeah.
That's right.
The distribution part is so important. I gave away so many CDs in the beginning, and I'm glad I did. Now we don't have to; they're just free.
Yeah, now it's already been used.
But back then, I was handing them out, and I needed to because I was introducing myself.
Yeah, yeah. Well, now, of course, you can buy this album and pay it back to Mary Gauthier, all those free albums that got out there. There are still CD copies of this album that we're revisiting today.
Yes.
Drag Queens and Limousines, you can get it at marygauthier.com. Also, there's a link, and we'll post the direct link to get the vinyl version that she was talking about. It's going to be re-released, the 25th anniversary version of Drag Queens and Limousines on a real record label and everything this fall. So you can pre-order it now as well, which I can't wait to hear it on vinyl. That's going to be really exciting.
Right?
Yeah, they remastered it. It sounds great.
That's awesome. And also just something that we say all the time, getting this album in any format, as long as it's the high res files, will make your life so much better. Because as much as we're all enjoying the music when we listen to it together on the show, it's even better when you get the real files.
It sounds so good, and Crit and all the people involved put a lot of effort into it, and you really get to hear it. I'm listening to the WAV files here on my end, so I'm going to second what Ellen said, but I also realize we're almost halfway through the hour. We've only listened to one song. We need more music.
More music.
This is so exciting.
And we also want to remind you that while you're listening, if you have questions or comments about the songs or questions for Mary, please throw them in the comments. And if you just joined the show, let us know where you're tuned in from for the back catalog listening party. But Carla Faye, is there anything you want to say about this before we take a listen?
Yeah, this is a story song about a woman who was on death row in Texas, outside of Dallas. Her name was Carla Faye Tucker, and she was executed under the governorship of George W. Bush, and her life and death really impacted me. And I wrote this song to express my feelings around her life and the death penalty. So I think it's in some ways a political song. In that there's an opinion in the song. It's not stated, but you can listen to the story and understand that there's a sympathy for the narrator and the human Carla Faye Tucker.
All right, let's give it a listen. This is Mary Gauthier with Carla Faye here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
He said it feels good, so she gave him her vein. The dope made her numb, and numb felt like free, until she came down, down, down to a new misery. A junkie, a whore, living for the next high. She'd lie, cheat, and steal. She forgot how to cry. Wide awake for 2 weeks, shooting heroin and speed. When she killed him in cold, cold blood, all she felt was her need. Now it's an eye for an eye, and you're gonna die. It's a tooth for a tooth, your moment of truth. There's no mercy here, your stay is denied. You better pray, pray, pray. You find mercy in the sky. Alone in her cell, no dope in her veins. The killer'd become little lost girl again. She fell to her knees. She prayed she would die on the cold cement floor. She finally cried, and love came like the wind, and love whispered her name, and love reached through and held her. Love lifted her pain. 15 years on death row, her faith deeper each day. Her last words were, I love you all. Goodbye, Carla Faye. Now it's an eye for an eye, and you're gonna die. It's a tooth for a tooth, your moment of truth. There's no mercy here, your stay is denied. You better pray, pray, pray. You find mercy in the sky.
Love that last moment on there, those last couple of notes. Carla Faye by Mary Gauthier here on the back catalog listening party from her 1999 release, Drag Queens and Limousines, which we're revisiting today with Mary joining us live from her home in Nashville. And a lot of other folks joining us as well. Ray from Southern Wisconsin said, nice to spend an afternoon with my favorite beer, Spotted Cow, just like Tony. And my favorite musician. And Deirdre McCalla, great, one of our past guests, joining us from Atlanta, Georgia. And Molly Mayer. And Molly Mayer also had a question. Who is singing the backies? Who's on those great vocals? Do you remember? No.
I wasn't there when they sang it. I didn't know musicians yet. I was just a little singer-songwriter playing open mics. Crit did all that.
Yeah.
The choir is fantastic. I know.
Yeah.
I love
really
that.
good.
Great
I know.
addition to the song. It added a lot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Really good stuff. We'll keep the questions and the comments flowing, and we'll do our best to answer them. One thing Jamie Harris pointed out is for everyone who will be in Nashville for Americana Fest, they'll be celebrating the 25th anniversary of Drag Queens and Limousines at City Winery on September 17th. So
Nice.
if you sign up for Mary's email list or follow her on the social places, I'm sure you will find out about that. But again, 25th anniversary of this
That's
album.
a big deal. That's
so
a big
cool.
deal. Are you going to play it like front to back? What's the story with that celebration?
Well, there's basically two shows at the City Winery, and one is artists who are going to be singing songs that I wrote. Other artists, Jamie's putting that together, and then I'm gonna, with Jamie, perform. The next show will be most of Drag Queens and Limousines. I think that the number of artists that we have or that she has keeps growing. So my time is getting smaller, and I'm happy about that. I'm so honored to be receiving such a gift of hearing some of my favorite artists singing something I wrote. I'm nervous about it and so honored.
And by the way, I was just able to find on allmusic.com some of the credits for the album.
Oh, good.
And it doesn't break out every track, but a couple names I recognize singing background vocals: Katie Curtis, Caroline.
Caroline.
Yeah.
I love them.
So, and then Richard Bowden, let's see, Richard Gates playing bass and singing, and Robert Resnick. So there's some great folks on the album, but I just wanted to share because there were some names I recognized. So I thought you'd want to see that.
Lisa was just commenting on the fiddle break. Is there anything in those notes?
Amazing. I remember the fiddle player. His name was Matt. I don't remember his last name, but he was in John Lincoln Wright's band. He was the greatest fiddler in Boston by a long shot. He was so good.
Good ear, Lisa. Yeah, we'll track him down and put him in the show notes. If you're listening to this as the audio podcast, you can go to backcatalog.listeningparty.com, where we'll have all the notes from today's episode.
That's right. And we're going to get to the next song, which Our Lady of the Shooting Stars. Is there anything you want to say about this one?
Now, I remember the backup harmonies on this one. That's Katie Curtis. And there's a mandolin part that's so good. It is her longtime mandolin player, Jimmy Ryan, from the Boston area. And this is sort of a prayerful song. It's got a poetic leaning that I'm really proud of. Poetry songs are hard to write, and when I nail one down, it's a huge victory. And this one took quite a while, but I think I got there. And it's a sort of a request for faith. I think the narrator is me, and also not me, looking at the sky, going, "Should I believe? Should I believe?" And I'm not sure this is true, but I was probably sincere when I wrote it, in that I might have been in that place spiritually when I was writing it.
All right. Well, let's give it a listen. This is Mary Gauthier, Our Lady of the Shooting Stars, here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
Our Lady of the Shooting Stars, was that you last night? Did we dance a whispered waltz? Did I hold you in my sight? When morning came with open arms, she lifted you from me. The sunlight burned my eyes away, and now I cannot see. Our Lady of the Shooting Stars, as I face the early light, all that I can think of now is joining you in flight. But I have followed Gypsy's girl, I've lost my way back home. I've held the phoenix to my chest and ended up alone. me how to know. I wanna feel my thoughts go dark and rest inside your flow. I'll awaken without fear and breathe the cool, clean air. With your words upon my lips, your will becomes my prayer. If I move to you, will you move to me? If I move to you, will you move to me? What you have done, you've led me to the water's edge, running from the sun. Are you in the briny mist? Do seagulls scream your name? Their wings suspended by your love, or do I reach for you in vain? If I move to you, will you move to me?
Oh, beautiful. That was Mary Gauthier with Our Lady of the Shooting Stars. And yeah, those background vocals, you're right, of Katie Curtis, just really beautiful.
That track really stands out to me, and so much of it is Katie and Jimmy. You know, Katie Curtis and Jimmy Ryan. It's hypnotic, and I love it. And I love Katie, and I love Jimmy. It's a fond memory to listen to that again after so many years.
Yeah, and it's also interesting because these 3 songs that we've heard so far from this album, Drag Queens and Limousines, are all songs that, you know, still get played in your live shows. And I know you don't listen back to your old albums or these old recordings, but are there any observations you notice? I know you mentioned Drag Queens, you do a lot faster in concert. Are there any other things you're hearing as you listen to these old versions of the songs?
Well, what's going through my mind is that I feel so richly blessed and so grateful to have had such a great producer and person that I could trust, Crit Harmon, who really who took the job personally and cared deeply, and did amazing work. I would have never been able to do this without him. And you know, sometimes if you pick the wrong people to give your work to, you can get really, really lost. And I've been blessed with picking the right people to work with, and that's a great feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for a first kind of what is essentially your first album, first, like, kind of, as you put it, kind of real album that wasn't demos. Yeah, it's pretty top notch. I don't think anyone listening to this would be like, oh yeah, that was a first album. The songs are so good and the production sounds great.
Black Sheep, you know, so I knew he would definitely know how to make the record. I didn't know if the song, I mean, we worked a lot on the songs, and a lot of the songs on the record are co-writes with me and Crit, and he really protected me, and I owe him so much gratitude and thanks.
The Back Catalog Listening Party is brought to you by EFS Publicity. Founded by veteran publicist, promoter, DJ, and musician Ellen Stanley, EFS brings an artist's perspective to the table, working to help clients get to the next level in their career. Services include national and international media campaigns, radio promotions, tour press, crowdfunding, grant writing, and more. Get a quote or set up a consultation today at efspublicity.com. Yeah, really, really great stuff. And speaking of co-writes, I think this next tune we're going to listen to in just a minute is a co-write with Crit. But before I get to that, I want to take this opportunity again to remind you that this is the Back Catalog Listening Party. We're talking with Mary Gauthier, revisiting her album Drag Queens and Limousines, which came out in 1999, but will be re-released on vinyl this fall. And you can pre-order that 25th anniversary version on her website. You can also throw something in her tip jar as well if you appreciate the music and the work that she does. And also, this is a great opportunity to thank the people that support this show and keep it going every week, our Patreon supporters. And we started the show 4 years ago when things looked a little different. But this show has continued, and it's one of the rare silver linings that came out of the pandemic was this show and this opportunity to talk with some of our favorite artists and unearth these wonderful gems like Drag Queens and Limousines, which I don't think people have forgotten about this record, but it sure is nice to hear you talk about it in such a deep and meaningful way. So these are the folks that have kept the show going and enabled today's show to happen. Penny, Ann, Alinda, Bevan, Connie, Vaughn, Ellen, Chris, Alex, Becky, Peggy, Joe, Jim, Beverly, John, Fred, Tim, Sarah, David, Jocelyn, Matt, Steve, Mark, Homestead Pick and Parlor, Severin, Lynn, Mary, Many Tracks, Nikki, Joni, David, CJ, Wiley, Stephanie, Christy, Diane, Hetty, and maybe you. If you want to join the Back Catalog Listening Party Patreon party, you can visit patreon.com/Back Catalog Listening Party. And you can find out more about getting invited to the live tapings of the show and other special cool things like getting the Founders pint glass.
Yes, mine is already empty. That's always the sign of a great conversation. And yeah, I will say that the heart and soul of this really is listening together. And whether you're part of our Patreon or just listening online, something happens when we listen together, and I feel it every week. It's a mysterious thing, but you can almost just feel the energy change when you're listening with at least one other person. And we know you're out there, and we appreciate you being out there. A past guest, Ordinary Elephant, here loving the music. We appreciate that. And Kari chimed in to talk about Richard Gates, who's an old friend. Was that one of the musicians that I
great
missed?
Bass player.
Bass player, yeah. And then Jamie chimed in to let us know that there's some confirmed artists for this tribute. So we mentioned the tribute happening in September, and quite a list of who's who already confirmed for that wonderful tribute. And, it goes a long way to, it's a testament to how powerful, good songs mixed with good people can be. So we appreciate all of you for being here.
Indeed. And right now we're going to get to another song on the album that people might know either from this version or it was re-recorded later. Well, it's actually, I think, been on maybe 3 albums that I can think of, but I Drink. So is there anything you want to say about this before we take a listen?
Well, this song I wrote with Crit. We co-wrote this together. It took a very long time to get it right. And it doesn't have a lot of words, but every word matters. And this is the song that opened doors for me and still does. This is the song that got me the gig at the Newport Folk Festival, and then 10 other folk festivals followed suit. This is the song that got me onto Bob Dylan's Theme Time Radio Hour. This is the song that's been recorded by very successful recording artists, Blake Shelton, Tim McGraw, Bobby Bear Sr. This song, I think of Jackson Browne. A good song will take you far. This little song has been in the ring doing hard work for me for 25 years, and I'm so amazed how a single song can change your whole life. And it was not and is not a hit.
Well, it's a hit in my book, so.
Yeah.
Oh, this guy's not a radio hit.
Yeah.
Definitely on the Back Catalog Listening Party. This is Mary Gauthier, I Drink.
He'd get home at 5:30, fix a drink, and sit down in his chair. Pick a fight with mama, complain about the kids getting in his hair. At night he'd sit alone and smoke. I see his friend behind the lighter's flame. Now that same frown's in my mirror. I got my daddy's blood inside my veins. Fish swim, birds fly, daddies yell, mamas cry. Old men sit and think. I drink. Chicken TV dinner, 6 minutes on to frost, 3 on high. A beer to wash it down with, then another, some whiskey on the side. It's not so bad alone here, it don't bother me that every night's the same. I don't need another lover hanging around trying to make me change. Fish swim, birds fly, lovers leave by and by. Old men sit and think. I drink. I know what I am, but I don't give a damn. Fish swim, birds fly, daddies yell, mamas cry. Old men sit and think. I drink.
All right. Mary Gauthier with I Drink, from her, the original version from her 1999 album Drag Queens and Limousines.
And I'm with Joni here. This is the only version.
But yeah, it's been a while since I've heard that one. I know it was also recorded for Mercy Now, right? As well, and a live record. So at least a couple of other versions by Mary, but then as you mentioned, Mary, all the other big stars who recorded it. But yeah, hearing it in your voice is just really special. But as you said, a good song has wings, and everyone wants to sing a good song. So
yeah, and this is you mentioned this album being kind of like you going back in time and kind of writing the songs that you're catching up a little bit. Was this one that started after sobriety or
Oh yeah,
before?
I was 5 years sober when I wrote that.
Okay. Yeah, very powerful.
Yeah, it brought me back listening to it. It brought me back to Boston, Cambridge in the 90s. That's John Lincoln Wright on the background vocals. And he was a country singer from New Hampshire. Had a great country band in the Boston area. Everybody used to tell him if he'd moved to Nashville, he could be famous. And he said he prefers to stay in New England. and he was an extremely gifted singer-songwriter and band leader, and it just brings me back to those days of the beginning. John Lincoln Wright he was a local hero, and he was certainly a hero of mine. And he struggled with alcoholism mightily, and alcoholism won. And I wish that Lincoln could have gotten sober. I loved him, and I still do. And hearing his voice is kind of like, wow, holy wow. Boy, did he sing it well. He showed up at the recording. I remember I was there for this one with the biggest beer I ever saw in my life at 10 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, well, I don't know. The beer was like,
Oh my gosh.
yeah. I had not listened to this version in a long time, and what really comes through is Lincoln. I was one of Daryl Scott's early regular gigs. He played in John Lincoln Wright's band.
Wow. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Well, these songs are just so powerful and have so many legs that have carried your music forward, Mary. And we want to just, first of all, toast a 25th anniversary to this beautiful album that we've been enjoying today.
Wonderful
Drag Queens and
music.
Limousines.
And thank you.
It's so great. You can pre-order the 25th anniversary vinyl version or order the original CD version from her website, marygauthier.com. And also when you go to marygauthier.com, you can check out, in addition to all of her great music, she has a wonderful book called Saved by a Song. And I hear that the paperback version is going to be coming out soon. What can you tell us about the book and this new version?
Yeah, the book was published by Simon & Schuster, St. Martin's Press. It's a behind-the-curtain look at songwriting. I tell the story of my life through songs, but I also go in deep as a songwriting teacher, which I have been for quite a while now. And I sort of take the songs apart and discuss the creation of them and an important issue. I call it tools for the toolkit for songwriters. And it's also the journey of recovery. So the book is hitting in 3 areas, so it's hard for bookstores to know where to put it. It's about recovery for sure. It's about songwriting for sure. And it's memoir as well. And the paperback's coming out in September.
It's wonderful.
Well, and you can get this, and you can pre-order the vinyl of this record we're listening to today at marygauthier.com. We'll have a link in the comments, a link at the in our show notes as well.
And we want to thank everyone who joined us today for the show. And big thanks to Carrie and Connie and all of you out there for joining in the conversation. If you are just listening to the podcast version of the show and want to know about getting invited to these live tapings so you can participate in that way, you can go to backcataloglisteningparty.com or join our Patreon. Mary, this has been such a treat to chat with you. These songs are so great. And Megan B says, love the book, another one of our past guests. So
thanks, Megan. Thank you for having me on. Thank you for doing this. In the music business, we always tend to want what's new and exciting, and that's where all the focus is. And looking back on people's catalog and rediscovering their work is really an important thing. And you're giving the community such a gift by doing this. Thanks for doing it with me.
Oh, anytime.
Honor for us. Yeah, this is really what it's about for us as well. Just, being able to connect in this way and reconnect with music. Sometimes it's a little different 25 years later.
Yeah. And
this does.
This album is timeless. And folks, again, loving the show, and another vote for the book as well from Ray. So
nice.
Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you'll join us next week for another edition of the Back Catalog Listening Party. And Mary, we hope we see you in person down the road soon. And congratulations on 25 years.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Thank you.
That's a big deal. And this has been a wonderful hour. Thanks again, everybody, for being here. And we'll, until next time, we'll see you here on the Back Catalog Listening Party. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.